And if we get called names, because we don't dismiss these revolutions, we should have the courage to say we will not be ideological pawns. We will take lessons from wherever they will help us do better than capitalism. The question was about an interview given by Emanuel Wallerstein on RT television today. He said that capitalism is coming to the end of a 500-year cycle. I have great respect for Professor Wallerstein. He's done wonderful work. He has much to teach. But when I hear my esteemed colleagues talking about waves of development running 500 years, my eyes glaze over. Maybe he's right. But I guess we'll have to wait to see. Meanwhile, I am sure that capitalism's future is more in your hands now, more dependent on the crisis inside it, and the opposition building against it, than on any long cycles we could imagine. When Marx wrote his critique, his image of capitalism's end was not that it was attacked from outside, was not that it was in danger from terrorists. Marx's argument is that capitalism would survive unless and until the internal contradictions, the things about it that undermine each other, make it collapse. And make the people who live in that collapse declare that a new and different system has to be begun. That's what's looming here. And Marx, if he were here today, would have a big grin. And probably say, in good German, I told you so. I noticed that over the last 3 weeks, the stalwart capitalist news agency that has the same name as the mayor of New York, and that's not a coincidence. The Bloomberg News Service has carried two stories praising the insights
The insights
of Karl Marx.
of Karl Marx.
When Bloomberg discovers Marx, capitalism is in deep doo-doo.
How would you redefine money? And who wants to make a new mint? Let's reclaim our reality.
Question is about how I would define money and talk about the mint and creating money. Let me answer by very briefly making sure we all understand how money is created now. Two agencies determine the quantity of money in circulation. The first is a half government, half private agency called the Federal Reserve. They, at the top, have a board of governors, 12 bankers, led by a professor of economics named Bernanke. They decide how much money will be created. That means they decide how many dollar bills to print, and 50s, and hundreds, and nickels, all of it. Bernanke calls the mint. He announces the decision. We 12 governors think it would be a good idea that there be $20 billion more dollars circulating. Roll the presses. That's it. They do not have to get the permission, not of the president, not of the Congress, not of the Supreme Court. They don't have to have any backing. There doesn't need to be any gold. They can print it as they see fit. Over the last 4 years, terrified by the collapse of capitalism here, they have increased the amount of money by hundreds of billions of dollars. No one knows what the full consequences of this may be. In the short run, it boosts the economy a bit. Most of that money went into the stock market and bid up the prices. That was good for shareholders. Little of the money went into the economy, which is why we don't have any lessening of unemployment and all the suffering
and all the suffering
that goes with it.
that goes with it.
The question is,
The question is,
what might happen
what might happen
if all that extra money
if all that extra money
began being used to buy things?
began being used to buy things?
Then we would have too much. Then we would have
Then we would have
too much money
too much money
chasing too few goods,
chasing too few goods,
and the people with money
and the people with money
would bid up the price of everything.
would bid up the price of everything.
That's called an inflation.
That's called an inflation.
All around the world,
All around the world,
one of the great fears
one of the great fears
is that a dysfunctional capitalism
is that a dysfunctional capitalism
is trying desperately
is trying desperately
to print its way
to print its way
out of a depression
out of a depression
and thereby threatening
and thereby threatening
to plunge us
to plunge us
into an inflation.
into an inflation.
This is a system that is out of control.
This is a system that is out of control.
Far better
Far better
would be to have
would be to have
a new democratically controlled
democratically controlled
agency of government
agency of government
whose decisions
whose decisions
about money
about money
were governed
were governed
by what we all need
by what we all need
and want,
and want,
not by
not by
a handful
a handful
of giant banks
of giant banks
who now dominate
who now dominate
our economic
our economic
and monetary system.
and monetary systems.
I have a question.
Okay, you and then you.
How does war and things like we're in New York City, how does war and 9/11 play into this stuff? Because we're talking about macro issues and there's greed and there's corruption and there's suffering, but I personally have a hard time believing that we could be that against ourselves because information is so accessible and you don't know what is reliable. And what is your opinion and comment to that?
This question had many parts,
Had many parts,
but I'm going to focus
but I'm going to focus
on the opening point,
on the opening point,
which concerns war
which concerns war
and its relation to all of this.
and its relation to all of this.
This is more complicated
This is more complicated
than we often face.
than we often face.
On the one hand,
On the one hand,
we are spending
we are spending
trillions with a T
trillions with a T
on 4 wars:
on 4 wars:
Iraq,
Iraq,
Afghanistan,
Afghanistan,
Pakistan, Libya,
Libya,
not to speak of lesser actions elsewhere.
not to speak of lesser actions elsewhere.
Part of our view
Part of our view
is that we can see
is that we can see
that we would be better off
that we would be better off
using that money
using that money
to maintain
to maintain
the quality of life
the quality of life
and improve the quality of life
and improve the quality of life
for most Americans,
for most Americans,
rather than killing people
rather than killing people
over there.
over there.
However,
However,
we have half a century
we have half a century
of making the American economy
of making the American economy
dependent
dependent
on production
on production
for war.
for war.
To dismantle that
To dismantle that
is a task
is a task
capitalist corporations do not want to risk.
capitalist corporations do not want to risk.
They are making good money
They are making good money
producing for war.
producing for war.
To really overcome the war,
To really overcome the war,
we're back to square one.
we're back to square
We have to change organization of our enterprises.
We have to change organization of our enterprises.
The people are ready
The people are ready
to reorganize the economy,
to reorganize the economy,
to end our dependence on war.
to end our dependence on war.
That we have to face,
That we have to face.
otherwise our request
Otherwise, our request
to stop spending on war
to stop spending on war
will be opposed
will be opposed
by millions of Americans
by millions of Americans
persuaded
persuaded
that their jobs
that their jobs
depend on it.
depend on it.
We have an answer.
We have an answer.
The reorganization of an economy
The reorganization of an economy
so their well-being
so their well-being
no longer depends
no longer depends
on oppressing the people of the world.
on oppressing the people of the world.
That's where we have to go.
That's where we have to go.
Sir, knowing that it should be in anyone's best interest here that they could potentially be called a terrorist, is the Patriot Act something that we should be looking at? For instance, if one of you are arrested and they enact the fact that you guys are terrorists, you can be held in court without due process. Does that worry you at all?
The question is,
Question is,
am I worried
am I worried
by the Patriot Act
by the Patriot Act
and the right of the government
and the right of the government
to brand almost anyone
to brand almost anyone
a terrorist,
a terrorist,
arrest that person,
arrest that person,
and hold them
and hold them
indefinitely
indefinitely
with little
with little
or no
or no
basic civil rights?
basic civil rights?
I have a simple answer.
I have a simple answer.
Yes.
Yes.
And I would find it strange
And I would find it strange
if everybody wasn't worried.
if everybody wasn't worried
In a country
in a country
that spends a lot of time
that spends a lot of time
defending
defending
and admiring
and admiring
personal freedom,
personal freedom.
we have a government now
We have a government now
to whom we have allowed
to whom we have allowed
attacks
attacks
and deprivations
and deprivation
of our personal freedom
of our personal freedom
on an unprecedented
on an unprecedented
scale.
scale.
That needs to be changed.
That needs to be changed.
And here is an interesting fact.
And here is an interesting fact.
At the other end of the political spectrum,
At the other end of the political spectrum,
there is a sizable group
there is a sizable group
of people
of people
who, for different reasons,
who, for different reasons,
are equally worried
are equally worried
about this loss
about this loss
of personal freedom.
of personal freedom.
Not the least,
Not the least,
innovation
innovation
in a new left American politics would be an investigation
would be an investigation
about whether we might work
about whether we might work
with some of our libertarian adversaries,
with some of our libertarian adversaries,
at least to limit
at least to limit
the power of a government
the power of a government
subservient to corporations
subservient to corporations,
that we don't want
that we don't want
to have anything like that power.
to have anything like that power.
I'm losing my voice.
I'm losing my voice.
Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much for your attention.